Have you ever read a story where you suddenly understood someone you would normally judge? Someone you might dismiss in a sentence or cross the street to avoid? And not because they were right, not because they were justified, but because, for a moment, you could see the world from inside their life. And after that, it became harder to see people the same way. We usually call this empathy, but that word doesn't quite capture what's happening, because something deeper is taking place. We're often told that literature matters because it builds empathy. And that's not wrong. Stories do help us feel what others feel. But feeling isn't the same as changing how you understand experience. If that were all stories do, they wouldn't stay with us. They wouldn't reshape how we understand people, or history, or even ourselves. So what exactly is happening when literature has that effect? In the previous video, we saw that a life feels meaningful when it holds together across time. When the past makes sense, the present feels coherent, and the future feels possible. In other words, meaning depends on how much of a life we can hold together. Literature expands that capacity. It doesn't just make us feel more, it allows us to hold more experience together at once. When you read a novel, you don't just follow a sequence of events. You inhabit multiple perspectives, you move across different moments in time, you encounter interpretations that don't fully agree with each other, and somehow, you don't collapse them into a single answer. You actively hold them together. That's not just empathy, that's integration. This becomes clearer if you look at what reading actually demands from you. A novel asks you to do things we rarely do in everyday life. It asks you to hold multiple perspectives at the same time, to understand how the same event can mean different things to different people. It asks you to follow a life across time, to see how a person's past shapes their present, and how their present opens or closes their future. It asks you to tolerate ambiguity, to sit with interpretations that don't resolve neatly, and to resist the urge to simplify too quickly. All of this is a form of training, not in information, but in how to hold complexity. This kind of training matters, because the more complexity you can hold, the less likely your own understanding is to become brittle when your life becomes difficult. Think about a character like Raskolnikov in Crime and Punishment. From the outside, his actions are deeply troubling. But as you follow his thoughts, his fears, his reasoning, his unraveling, your judgment shifts. Not because he's right, but because you now hold more of what led him there. Or take Mrs. Dalloway. A single day unfolds, but through multiple consciousnesses. The same present is lived differently depending on who is experiencing it. There is no single fixed version of events, only a network of perspectives. Or a novel like 100 Years of Solitude, where time stretches across generations, where memory, history, and repetition fold into each other, where a life is no longer just a moment, but part of a larger historical trajectory that no single person can fully see. In each case, the reader leaves with a mind that can hold more than it could before. In each case, what literature is doing is not just telling a story, it's expanding what you can hold together without simplifying it. And this matters because of something we explored in the previous video. If a life feels meaningful when it holds together across time, then expanding your capacity to integrate experience expands your capacity for meaning. Literature doesn't just expose us to more experience. It gives us a way to metabolize it, to take things like conflict, tragedy, or moral failure and integrate them into a broader understanding of a life rather than leaving them as unresolved fragments. More perspectives deepen your understanding of the past. More trajectories expand what you can imagine for the future. And the more you can hold together without collapsing it into something simpler, the more stable your sense of direction becomes. Literature doesn't just reflect meaning, it helps build the capacity for it. And this isn't just about understanding other lives, it's about understanding your own. The more you can integrate, the more of your own experience you can hold together without breaking. And literature is not unique in this. It's one of the clearest examples of something broader, what the arts do. Film lets you move across perspectives and timelines. Music lets you experience emotional structures unfolding over time. Visual art reshapes how you perceive the world. In different ways, the arts are technologies for integrating experience. They expand what we can hold together. But there's something important here. There are two ways systems can produce meaning. One is by expanding what they can integrate. The other is by reducing what they need to integrate, by narrowing what counts. Literature belongs to the first category. It makes the world more complex, but in a way that remains coherent. It doesn't simplify reality. It teaches you how to hold it. In a previous video, we saw that identity is the braid of a life across time. Meaning is the direction that braid can take. Literature expands how much of that braid you can hold together. And in doing so, it expands what your life can become. We don't become more human by simplifying the world. We become more human by learning to hold more of it together. But not every system moves in that direction. Some produce meaning by narrowing what can be held rather than expanding it. And that's what we'll look at next. If you'd like to follow where this goes, consider subscribing. I am, therefore I think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.